journey all started when I went through a heartbreak. And this was not the first heartbreak I had. I had many heartbreaks, right? And it was making my self-esteem low. I started to ask myself, what is wrong with me? Am I not beautiful enough? Am I not smart enough? And I'm not intelligent enough? Am I not outgoing enough? I started to question myself. So what I decided to do is I decided to journal my feelings, right? I would journal my feelings all of the time. Every day I would come home. I would write December 21st, da 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 da, and I would reflect. And when you reflect on your emotions, you are healing yourself. You are teaching yourself and you don't even know it. So I started journaling a lot, and I don't even realize till today how much it actually helped me grow. I made a dedication to start loving myself. And when I say self-love, I don't mean just looking in the mirror, telling yourself that you're beautiful. I mean making a commitment to yourself, a commitment to yourself to develop routines that's going to help you become the best you possible. That means starving off all of your distractions and starving off anything that isn't helping contribute to a better you. How could I receive love from other people if I couldn't even give it to myself first? So that was my first step after my heartbreak, is loving myself again, feeling free, connecting with me. It was nothing wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? The only thing that was wrong with me is that I didn't love myself. It's not that I wasn't beautiful, smart, or intelligent. Not even, y'all, let me tell you how it really started. So I was smoking with my best friend. So while we were smoking, you guys know that marijuana has psychoactive properties. It stimulates your third eye. I was seeing so many beautiful images, and I went to the mirror. This is where it all happened. I looked in the mirror, y'all, and I saw different versions of myself, from when I was younger all the way up to when I was older. Just different versions of my soul, of myself. And it said in a voice, Key, come back to me, come back to me, come back to me. And at the time, I didn't know what was going on, so I'm just looking in the mirror like, damn, I'm high, what the fuck? Like, I didn't really know what was going on until later, right? When I look back and I realized that was something telling you that it's time to wake up. The whole time, I was activating my third eye because, like I said, marijuana has psychoactive properties that will allow you to look at the world from a different perspective. So weed had a huge part in triggering my kundalini and spiritual awakening. So next, what happened was, I was hanging out with my best friend, and she showed me some conspiracy theories on YouTube. I never saw these conspiracy theories before, right? So when she shows me these conspiracy theories, anybody else probably would have been like, that's not true. I don't know if I believe. Hell no. I was like, y'all, as soon as she showed me these videos, I was like, this is not a theory. This is real life. Immediately, I woke up. Because it's like my soul just had an awakening. I was like, yo, where have I been the whole time? How have I not noticed this going around? One example was the fluoride. You know, fluoride, the last time fluoride was used was in Nazi concentration camps. But yet it is all in our water and our toothpaste. And guess where the most fluoride is? In the school system. Whenever you go to school, you're just being programmed, right? They're filling you up with milk from cows. You drinking that fluoride water. You're just being sedated and brainwashed. And then I learned a lot of other conspiracy theories, and I'm like, this is not a theory. This is real life. It's like I've been living under a rock. And that is a power of knowledge. That is the power of knowledge, because once you receive knowledge, you are able to access new perceptions of thinking. Conspiracy theories, they was cool and all. You know what I'm saying? They was cool and all. But when I started studying ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, ancient Africa, my mind was on a whole new level. I finally knew who I was. I finally knew the power of melanin. Melanin is not just a skin color. Melanin is the universe. Melanin is life. Melanin is what makes us able to love, able to have rhythm, harmony. This is why Black people, we are just a loving kind. This is why we have so much rhythm, so much talent. We're magical. We're literally the universe reincarnated. Melanin is 666, 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 electrons. You know what that makes? Carbon. Carbon is the makeup of melanin. Melanin is freaking magic. Then I started to learn my hair. My hair is really antennas, is really receptors. My hair defies gravity. I started to learn how magical and powerful I was. Then I learned what my ancestors did in Egypt. I learned that the Egyptians, they were not white. My Egyptians, they were Black. We were the Egyptians. Our ancestors were the Egyptians and were the ruler of all of these other ancient civilizations. They don't want you to know that about yourself. They don't want you to know your power. This is why they don't tell us anything about our true history in textbooks. In textbooks, what do they tell you? They tell you about slavery and civil rights movement. Do they tell you anything that happened prior to us being enslaved? No, they don't. And they do it for a reason. And what I realized is that we fell from divinity. If you start history off with slavery, everything after that looks like progress. We are not making progress as a people. We went backwards. Our ancestors in Egypt were highly intelligent. How do you think they were able to have those high-tech civilizations to even build the pyramids? They were on a whole nother wavelength, a whole nother frequency. You don't know your true history, you don't know your worth. My people, they were gods and goddesses, kings and queens, rulers, conquerors. They invented everything on this earth. We were the first people here. The Black woman is the mother of civilization. We were here long before anybody else. But they don't tell you any of that. They try to make us hate ourselves, because once you get that power, they can't control you anymore. They no longer have your mind. And I started to realize how beautiful Black was, and I was so proud. Me receiving that knowledge literally changed my whole life. Once I received that knowledge, I made a pact. I knew my purpose. I knew that I wanted to educate people of who they really are and what they're capable of, so they could wake up and so they could take back over society. I knew I wanted to share this same knowledge, because for so long I was down, I was depressed, I didn't know who I was. I didn't like what I saw when I looked in the mirror until I received this knowledge. History is his story. H-I-S, story. That's not our story. That's what the white people wrote. That's what they wrote to glorify the terrible things that they did. That's not what really went down. So you have to dig deep. Everything, I started to realize everything that I was taught was a lie. Everything. I had to relearn everything. I started studying food. I started to learn the difference between acidic and alkaline eating. I started to learn that diseases are not passed down, they are created. I started to learn that they spray chemtrails in the air. I started to learn that they put chemicals in the water and in the food. I started to learn about systematic and industrialized racism. I started to learn about everything that was going on around me, and I started to study psychology, right? Because in psychology classes, I learned about classical conditioning, right? I learned all of these studies, and I just realized, oh shit, we're being brainwashed. Because psychology teaches you the same techniques that our oppressors, that the elites use to keep us enslaved, to keep us asleep. And one of the biggest things that I learned in psychology was about the subconscious mind, right? This is how they control you, right? Your subconscious mind controls 95% of all your actions. Your subconscious mind is the part of your mind that records everything in your life from birth. So Even you as a newborn, your subconscious remembers everything that happens, detail to detail. Every symbol, every song, every hidden message, your subconscious catches on to it. But your conscious, you consciously, you don't catch on to it. Your subconscious does, but you don't. There's a difference between your conscious and your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is powerful. And your subconscious mind is how the oppressors, how the elite, the people who control the media, the banks, they sneak so many subliminals into your mind to keep you controlled and you don't even know. Watching TV, simply watching a commercial, you're receiving so much insight, so much stuff, so much brain control, mind control, you don't even know it consciously. But subconsciously, you know it, right? And your subconscious controls 95% of your actions. So that means if your subconscious controls 95% of your actions, that means mostly everything you do is based off what you be around, what you watch, what you listen to, what you eat, all of that. Just you seeing these commercials and these advertising, you don't even know this it's affecting you. Now you got cravings and things you want to do that you don't even really want to do. I started to learn about the third eye, right? Your third eye is your pineal gland. Before then, I had no idea what a third eye was. I thought it was some weird witchy shit, right? No, your third eye is key. Your third eye is the seat to your soul. It is an actual gland that sits in between your brains. This is what controls your dreams. That this is your access to the spiritual world. Your pineal gland is very important. So when you're eating all of these toxic foods and all of these toxic chemicals, and you're breathing in all of these chemtrails and taking all of these medications that the doctor gives you, what happens is your third eye, your pineal gland, it starts to calcify, it starts to get hard, right? And once it gets hard, you can't even see correctly. So all of a sudden, you don't even know what's going on around you. You're just living your day-to-day life, working your 9 to 5, waking up and going to sleep. So until you uncalcify that third eye, it's going to be hard for you to actually have a spiritual awakening. It's going to be hard for you to understand some of the information that is getting put out. It's going to be hard for you to see things for as they truly are, because the seat of your soul is calcified. This is the true eye that you see out of, right? These eyes for looking, this eye is for seeing. So once I uncalcified that, I was able to see clearly. I was able to see the deception and all of the lies. If the mainstream media, if these people tell you that the sky is red, it's really blue. If they tell you that the sky is blue, it's really red. If they tell you it's black, it's really white. That's the main thing you realize during a spiritual awakening, that you have to relearn everything. You have to get your own research, your own knowledge. You have to connect back to your ancestors. One of the biggest parts of that I realized in my spiritual journey, I started to have a different view of God. You reduce God to a noun, you automatically limit what it is and what it could be. God is something way bigger than what we ever imagined. It is something beautiful. God is a universe within every life form. And then ever since then, I just started to learn more and more. I started to learn about crystals. I started to learn about numerology, right? I started to see number synchronicities. One of the biggest number synchronicities that I started seeing in my spiritual awakening is 1111, 911. 1111 is one of the first numbers that you'll see when you're starting your spiritual journey. Just know that you're on the right track when you see that number. One thing that I learned is that if you have a belief, if you have a small belief, what happens is all the neurons in your brain start to fire in the direction of that belief, right? So everything in your life is gonna align with that belief. So for example, if you have a belief that you are ugly, right? What happens is all the neurons in your brain is gonna start to fire that way. It's gonna start to act around that belief. So if someone tells you you're beautiful, you're gonna still think you're ugly. You're gonna have a voice in your head that says, that person is lying, I'm ugly. You know why? Because you have that belief. What I start to realize is the power of the mind, right? So your thoughts are seeds, right? And your actions and your words are the water, right? So once you have that thought, and then once you put action to that thought, and once you start speaking that thought into existence, that's watering it. And then what happens is it grows, it manifests. Everything that you see started off as a thought, and then somebody watered it. So they started talking about it, and they started putting energy to it. They started taking actions. And then what happened? That thought manifested to be physical. I started to realize the power of the words and the power of the mind. Every time you speak, you are literally creating your reality. I started to realize that we are the creators of our reality. I started to become aware. I started to become conscious. Conscious is just becoming aware of the power that you hold. I started to wake up, and I started to apply all of the knowledge that I was receiving. And this is why I'm here today. And like I said, the spiritual journey, it does not end. I'm still researching. I'm still studying. I'm still hungry for knowledge. I didn't know that my spiritual journey was starting. You don't realize it until you actually, start that journey, and you look back and you realize how all of the dots connected. You realize why you had to meet these people. You realize why certain people had to break your heart. You realize why certain people had to leave your life, because it all led to an outcome which has you here today. That is the beautiful part about the spiritual journey. I talk about my spiritual awakening for days and for days into days, because it's still going on. It's still going on to this day. There's still things happening. There's still new things that I'm learning that's contributing to this journey. This is the journey that never ends. That's the beautiful thing about the spiritual journey. You get a place, and then you keep evolving, right? So that's why we have to keep an open mind, because once you keep an open mind, you're able to change your life.